Clemson and you got into education, correct?
Yep.
Okay. What inspired you to pursue education as a career?
So I'm gonna be real with you, man. I was one of the smart kids growing up. Nobody knew I was smart, to be real. Made great grades. Again, nobody knew that because I used to be turn up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my senior year of high school, I signed up for this honors class called Teach Cadets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the Teach Cadets program, they will allow you to take 2 year block classes and actually go to a school and teach in high school. So senior year, you're not trying to do no, like I was done with all my courses. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to do no real work. So it's like, oh, let me do this Teach Cadet. My position coach was the middle school PE coach. And I was like, bam, coach, I'm gonna go ahead and do this Teach Cadet. I'm gonna jump in your class. We gonna kick it for the first 2 periods of the day. Like, I ain't trying to go to school like that. And I had it all set up and I was like, all right, bet this is what I'm gonna do, right? I get my paperwork that says where you're assigned, and these folks put me in a special education classroom in middle school to help this teacher.
Wow.
And I'm just like, special ed? What is special ed? I'm not trying to do that. Like, you just don't know. Like, I'd never been to special ed class, never stepped foot. I knew some kids or some guys I played with, all that stuff I knew had been in there, but I didn't know what that was. So I was kind of apprehensive. So fast forward, I ended up going into this special ed class. I had kids in there from my neighborhood. I had kids whose siblings I knew and stuff like that. And very early on, those kids latched on. Like, they latched on to what I was doing. You got to think I was 17 years old in high school because I didn't graduate till I was graduating when I was 17 still. And I'm in this class, and the teacher has me teaching certain lessons already. So, like, I grabbed onto it. The students grabbed onto it. It became a very natural feel for me. And, I got accepted initially in Clemson as accountant. And by the time I even stepped on campus, I had changed my major to special ed because of that experience. So it was very, very, very interesting route to get into education. And it just was basically off of me thinking I was supposed to just waste some time and take this honors class and get some extra points to my teacher must have seen something, and she threw me in this class, and the rest was history, man. It just became an absolute passion of mine, working with kids who I thought needed a little bit more pushing than the average guy. Kids who people thought were behavior problems, but it's just that's just how Buddy act. He ain't even really bad. He turn up. That's what he do. That's what his parents do. That's what his folks do. So it was a really, really great introduction and segue into becoming a educator and getting into that route. And it's just something that basically stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life.
It's amazing, dude. I look at life from the perspective of there's no such thing as luck, right? I don't believe in luck. I believe everything is divinely orchestrated in a way that it's supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And it's funny, we all hear the term hindsight's 2020, right? So 2020 is referring to perfect vision, and hindsight being perfect means you look back and it all makes sense. So when you're going through something, it don't make sense. You're just like, why the heck am I doing this? Or why is this happening? Or why is this circumstance? But then it's funny, everything that you've gone through in life, when you turn back and look at it, you're like, aha, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the whole concept of hindsight's 2020. And so as you mentioned that you are going to go to college as an accountant, but your senior year in high school, you did this internship in which you were working with, special education students. You came to find a love for something that you didn't even know that you had, right? And you found a desire and a need in which you were trying to serve the need of kids who needed a little bit more help, right? And I'm looking at this knowing where you are now in regards to now an author of a book entitled How Angels Are Made, which is written for kids who need a little bit more help to understand the grieving process. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing how these things start to line up. What are your thoughts on that?
Nah, it is, man. It really becomes an interesting journey because I would have never known that the introduction to education would make me a lifelong educator. Because even though I'm not in a classroom now, I still consider myself an educator. And then now being 3 years removed from the classroom, right? Because I went to work with me and my wife opened up office together, to now going back to being a person who's back with kids again. So to your point, it all makes sense. Because even with the book, I would have not known how to reach kids and present it and what do they really need without all that. Like, I would have never known how to make the presentation the way it is. Because one thing about the book is that if you didn't know any better, and I'm not to like brag on myself or anything, you wouldn't know it was a first time author who wrote it. You wouldn't know it was somebody who has that first experience, or they weren't published through a publishing company. I'm gonna make sure I send you a copy when we get off here. I'm gonna send you a copy.
Okay.
But you just wouldn't know, and I can definitely say it's from being in the classroom for years, having hands on kids, and knowing what they like and what they understand. And, all of it ties together perfectly. And to your point, I've never thought about the hindsight 22 concept. But, it all makes sense now that you brought that up. That's a great point you made, brother.
Yeah. And it's interesting, dude, because I look at everything and I believe everything is connected, especially as we start walking in purpose and we start walking in the trajectory that we're supposed to walk. All these things start opening up, lining up, and connecting. And so to your point, you didn't expect education to be a thing that you wanted to get into, but then lo and behold, you're like, hold up. I groove with this. You know what I'm saying? This is my thing. This is my world. I can impact. And other people see that I have a gift here because they're giving me more than I'm supposed to have at this particular point. But then you come to fast forward it. That was just preparation for you to be able to do this. Right. And then it's interesting because who knows what this is preparation for as you move forward. But we have to continue to keep ourselves, open to the opportunities and open to the process. And the moment that we stop believing that it's all working out for us, you can just take a step and look back again at hindsight 2020 thing. And you're just like, hold up, all these steps are doggone lining up. And I didn't do anything on the front end to make them line up. They're just lining up the way that they're supposed to. I'm just walking in that purpose. So fellas, I hope you're paying attention to Bryson's story, up to this point, because it's extremely important to me about walking in purpose, but then being open to opportunities. A lot of times we resist. We're like, man, I'm going, like you mentioned, you were going to school as an accountant, right? Yeah. Some people might not have had the wherewithal to realize that there's a gift in the educational realm here. They would have been like, nope, I've already established my major. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to school. I'm a major in accountant. And they might have gone to be an accountant, but in their heart, they would have known there was something else here that's missing. You listened. I got a question here. I know this.